Welcome to the Panic Podcast. We panic because we have no fucking idea what we are doing.
Hello and welcome to the Panic Podcast. I am your host, Yar's Revenge, and today, for this special episode of the Panic Podcast, I'm joined by a plethora of wonderful guests. Why don't you go around and introduce yourselves?
Liv, I am a director and lead subcap FC for Panic Stations.
I'm Eugene Spencer. I'm the content director here at Panic Stations.
Yep, Kel Dickens from the Mind Clash podcast.
I'm Meredith. I'm a line member in Iron Armada and a co-host of the Mind Clash podcast as well.
Hello, I'm Reload. I'm a meme.
I'm Yazarian, and I write for Eve News 24. I'm a bit of a YouTuber and a director in Darkness, in A Corp in Darkness.
So the big question I've got to start with is, how's everyone doing?
You know, I'm doing good. It's Sunday.
I thought it was going to be What's Left of Darkness, but...
Oh, no, alive and kicking, and all my kill boards are green. Thank you very much.
1 minute in, shots being fired already.
Edit that out after post.
So, obviously, you're all aware that Fanfest has just finished. The question I have is, did anyone here go to Fanfest?
I wrote an article on it.
I don't think so. I don't think anyone here has been to FanFest, unfortunately.
I'll ask the question a different way. Could anyone here afford to go to Fanfest?
Oh, yeah, I could, but just so far away.
Well, I went and I was reporting on stuff for it, so yes, that was my very first FanFest.
Ah, perfect. How was it for your first FanFest?
Well, I'll just briefly summarize the article. Iceland is cold. It's expensive.
God damn, yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, it's had a bit of a conference of the size vibe to it. You know, you're putting faces to names and, you know, talking to people from other things. So that bit was really nice, you know. So, yeah, you know, so as an experience, it's something I would definitely do again, you know.
Is that your first large group meetup? Have you done any other large group meetup?
Like what? Like Eve related or life related?
I don't care about your real life. I care about Eve.
Oh.
Yeah, like Eve Vegas or Eve Amsterdam or any chance to meet any of the
Eve
names
London.
and personalities.
Yeah, it was at Eve London a while back.
And that's a sizable event,
sort
right?
of lurking about. Yeah, more like a giant excuse to drink.
Well, that's just Eve in general, but...
Eve London's one day though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's not a big meetup.
Yeah, I went to FanFest in 2011. It was good. Both FanFest itself and Reykjavik and wider Iceland.
I think my first FanFest was the 2013 10-year anniversary FanFest, and that was absolutely incredible. Actually meeting people and putting faces to the names again. Like, I think I bumped into Shadu at one point. I was very confused because he wasn't what I was expecting.
That's like a lot of the interactions at a big event. I've done 3 Vegases, and a lot of the new people that I met there, I was like, wow, surprised. Huh.
It's really surprising. Once you meet people who you've been flying with for potentially a long time, you look at them very differently. Like, because I was flying with Scary Wormhole people back then, or before they got into that alliance, and it was phenomenal meeting everyone actually for the first time, putting faces to names, and sort of getting an idea of what people were like.
When using a command destroyer, remember to scram your target before MJDing it away. It will stop him from running away more effectively.
So, the stuff that came out at FanFest, all the new Triglavian stuff and the Into the Abyss expansion, what do we think about it? Are we excited?
I'm so stoked.
Yeah, I'm totally excited about it.
I'm looking forward to the new Dead Space. I think it looks very pretty.
Oh,
Yeah,
so nice.
I had a few talks with some of the devs, and there's very interesting things with it. Like I'm more interested in like the PvP aspect, how we can trap these fuckers and, you know, kill them, obviously. But the PvE aspect is pretty interesting with what we can do with the modules and everything. That's also pretty exciting, yeah.
I actually heard all of this stuff in the summit, and it was quite insane, to say the least. When they just like dropped the fucking bomb. Like, all right, that's cool.
Oh yeah, because you were
They
on
dropped-
CSM last year, weren't you?
Yeah, and technically still am until like I don't know, like next month, I guess.
Was that one of the big topics that there was a lot of CSM disgruntlement about?
I think so. There was a lot of people were staunchly against it. Like
How? How could you be against
they were
that?
just against it. That's all. They just it's not Eve. That was their way of saying it. It's not Eve.
Yeah, it's definitely not Eve.
More PvP, more PvE, and more interesting ways to play the game. Now it doesn't sound like Eve. We want spreadsheets.
It's because of how they've implemented it. Let's put it that way. Going into these like Dead Space complexes, which you could call it an instance, which it's very spooky for Eve players because the instances are not Eve.
I know what you mean, yeah.
I mean, they're not.
Doesn't matter anyway,
We've also been crying about them for years.
Yeah.
But what does that mean practically? Like, you can't follow somebody in, or what?
No.
No,
It's a private dungeon.
Well, you cannot follow them in, but when someone goes into it, it's going to leave something you can scan down with combat probes. So you can gate camp the fuck out of it.
Yeah, you can literally dungeon camp. That's a thing now.
And with the pockets of Abyssal Dead Space, there's only one way in and one way out, and that's the one you have to scan down.
And they'll only be in there for 15 minutes or so?
Yes, 15 minutes.
So you won't be camping for long?
Yep.
In my opinion... Go ahead.
Yeah, and it not sure if this was mentioned, but if you're in high sec, you come out with a suspect timer.
Ooh.
So then you could actually have. So it's wonderful news for my jitter alt. I can actually keep my standings and maybe hunt people on these things.
So you can actually just find one in high sec and sit on it and kill whoever comes out. That is so good.
With your market alt, yes. Still be able to trade stuff. So.
That is fantastic. Something I've actually wondered, which they didn't mention, or if they did, it was very subtly mentioned. Are they going to have access to local while they're in these pockets? I'd assume not.
Nope.
No.
Good.
It's going to be like Wormhole.
However, it will not affect your other chat window. Like CCP Rise was very specific on this. 'Cause to me, I thought, well, what's the point of blocking local if you've still got coalition intel, right? But you will still have all your other chat windows working. So
that makes sense, because
that makes sense.
As good as it would be to block things like intel channels and whatnot, that would be then putting you in an even more dangerous situation than wormhole space, because if there's no one in the system with you, there's no one to report intel in that system, so you're still at risk. And
the workaround would just be out-of-game tools.
Yeah, and like the way I imagine it is, if it blocked local, for example, so if it blocked intel channels or anything like that, all you'd have to do is get a neutral ult, sit him on it, and then you just see for yourself. But again, that's probably how people are going to try and escape from these things, by having cloaky eyes on it.
I think baiting on them is going to be a lot of good.
In reality, what are they going to do? I feel like if people are very like specifically like maybe like a 5-man gang is specifically like built to kill these dungeon instance players, then even if they have eyes, they have a 15-minute timer. Otherwise, they're going to die no matter what.
I think the most they can do is tell their friends, "Oh, there's someone camping in this system.
Basically.
Come help," and that's kind of it, really.
Yeah, but you've also got like the deadly rats that are also shooting you inside the things, because I've heard that these things are very hard. They are very hard.
I mean, yeah, it's not a perfect world, but it's still really good for PvP. Like, I'm really excited to hunt people in these sites.
Yep, I just can't wait for the new enchantment modules.
The mutation stuff.
Yeah. I can't wait for the like 300% bonus afterburners and like stupid crazy micro drives. It's gonna be great.
The part I'm excited about is if someone goes, I'm going to buy loads of Dead Space modules and make them really good, so I'm going to be the king bitch in PvP, and every single one of them fails, I'm going to laugh so hard when people do that, because it's going to happen, I guarantee.
No, man, don't give me bad luck, because I'm already investing in this. It's pretty hard.
No. Oh no, I jinxed it, touch wood.
Jinxing me pretty bad.
Before we get too far away from spawning dungeons, I am concerned that this will turn into a coalition just using their home stager system as a spawning location for all of their Dead Space sites, or the Abyssal Dead Space sites, and you'll just have 15 beacons around the Keepstar or Fortizar of your coalition stager. You won't even need to stage a fleet. You'll just have a Nick's sitting on the undock.
Well, you cannot open them in tether range, but I sort of get your point about, like, having, super caps on it, but the question is, are these little mutation things and what they do going to be worth it on the market enough to justify that kind of commitment?
Well, if it's your stager, like, it won't matter. Like, somebody will be undocked, like, by default. Or you'll have your super alt on standby, Most nullsec players are going to have 2-3 accounts, right? You have a fax and a super on standby. It doesn't matter if you have a 5-man roaming gang who can kill cruisers. You're going to get outblobbed.
I'm not sure if these things will even be worth enough to justify having supers on your undock for all your people running those sites.
Yeah.
That really depends on the market. And the other thing, but he did have a really good point, that doing these sites in nullsec in safe Alliance-owned space will probably be pretty darn safe, because you've still got your intel and you've got loads of your own guys in that system. So,
but that doesn't feel any different to running ratting sites in safe space. As long as you're in safe space that is safe, you should be safe. But
the advanced difference about these Abyssal Dead Space sites is they will not be a solved known quantity. The way that I can start a Forsaken hub, and I know exactly what's going to spawn within 5%, and I know that my ship will complete it 100% of the time.
Are you at a concert right now?
No, my wife. There's a door closed. It's just my mic is too strong.
So this could almost mean if you've got, say, 3 havens in a system, that could only support 3 carrier alts. With this, you can have like 100 people running these in a single system, and they can be supported in that one system absolutely fine.
Potentially. I have not heard of any artificial limits on the number of Abyssal Dead sites that can be run in the system.
Neither have I.
I would be hoping.
Depends on.
I'd be hoping
just
they have
depends
something
on
that also go ahead.
Yeah, no. As I was saying, it really depends on. It just depends on the filaments. Like, there's nothing specific to scan down. If you've got the thing that opens them, you can. I don't think there's a limit on any system. I don't think you can open them right next to each other. But they weren't too clear on that either.
I think it's a lot of to be determined.
What about the new ships and the weapons? Triglavian ships and weapons. What do you guys reckon?
I think we're going to have so many meme fights over it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, those are actually kind of interesting. I mean, because the way Rise explained it, and we've got the whole interview with him on, our latest article on EN24 right now. But they're most similar to energy turrets, but they're not exactly. But with the entropic disintegrators, what they do is with each shot, you're going to get an extra bonus on it, so it's going to do more damage. So those will be very interesting to see, in fleet fights, how that dynamic works out.
Didn't they say honestly, you can only have one of these per ship as well?
Yeah, but it does the damage of a full rack of guns, and it's supposed to do more damage than every subcap in the game. I mean, like, we kind of already have. I think people are freaking out over the way that they look, but it's basically missile fall off. At a certain range, they just stop working.
Yeah.
But instead, this is the same thing, except at the certain range, it turns your guns off, and you have to burn back into optimal.
Yeah, but it's essentially a void ray. If anyone plays StarCraft, that's what it is.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
It charges up as longer on the target. He said that about 10 cycles will be enough for it to be fully charged, and about fully charged around about 2,000 DPS.
Oh my days!
And this is going to be good for fleet comps.
With the battleship, you get about 5 utility highs. So,
are they only able to be fitted to the Triglavian ships, or can they be fitted to other ships?
I'm pretty sure it's only the Triglavian. That
That's
shit would be
good,
OP as fuck. You put that on a Macarial? You what?
Put that on a Vindicator, dual web, Newt Vindy.
It's pretty gross, but 5 utility highs, I am going to predict we'll have remote repping Triglavian battleships, and it's going to be a beautiful sight.
Don't give away comps before we even have them, bruh. Like, RR, and then...
Spider tanking returns with a vengeance!
Spider tanking dummies, get fucked, mate. We want spider tanking Triglavian bullshit.
I mean, at that point, all you gotta do is kite them and you're done, so...
I mean, yeah.
You'd have to get heavy tackle onto it and brawl.
You want to break a Rorqual? All newts in the highs, plus the Triglavian battleships. Okay, we'll fight on grid for 3 minutes. It's not going to go well for you.
I've just thought of something. This actually links to one point we keep mentioning in this podcast. Could these boys finally be a counter to the dreaded Fax and Losac?
I don't want to put my hopes too high, but I'm going to have 3 or 5 of them in every fleet.
It's when you think about it, with the increasing DPS, they're putting out as much DPS as a Vindicator, if not more, which is fantastic.
More.
But they also have the neuting power of like a Balgorn or an Armageddon. So I reckon these things can be really useful for taking out Faxes and solo dreads, things like that. Things that are annoying to deal with subcaps.
The problem with Faxes, without going back to the last podcast, is 5 mid slots with cap injection. There's not much you can do to newt them out until they waste all their charges, and then they bring a fuel truck anyway.
Yeah, but this combines
DPS is going to be nice.
This combines neuting with DPS, which again reduces the number of people you need. So if you've got the same amount of people you had before, maybe that could be enough. But I guess we'll have to see.
If you're having problems with pesky balanced Legion ships, the tactic to beat them is simple. Recruit them or drop carriers. Very effective. Much success.
So looking at the other stuff that was announced at Fanfest, they were also talking about the future of Citadels and the jump bridges and all that lovely stuff actually integrating with Citadels. Do we know anything about that, or is it just this is going to happen at some point, isn't it cool?
I mean, it has to happen at some point.
Yeah, I mean, pulses are pretty much phased out for most everything else, so it's definitely long overdue.
It's their 5-year plan, man.
Fuck, it's getting close. But what do we reckon they're going to be? Are they going to be individual structures? Are they going to be modules you have on the Citadels, or do we not want to make predictions?
Probably mods, I would guess. I think it would be easier.
I would hope there were structures, something you need to defend independently.
Sino beacons and Sino inhibs will probably be modules, but I think Stargates need to be separate.
Mm-hmm. The thing I'm interested about is I think it's the broadcast tower or the listening post or whatever they're talking about it would modify how local works potentially. That sounds quite cool.
I mean, if they keep it the way it is right now, I'd be happy.
I think that was more of a pipe dream.
Yeah, I would love to keep local buggy as long as possible. It's great. I'm not even kidding. It's great for content right now.
It's a bit broken.
I love that Reddit post that someone made a few days ago with, I think it was our guys who killed them at one point, basically complaining about how buggy local was, and just everyone in the Reddit post was losing their minds over it, and it was so beautiful.
Wormholer, by the way.
Oh, was he a wormholer? Oh no. Oh no.
Wormholes don't exist.
I miss wormholes, but at the same time I love Losac, so that's even better.
I would like to see jump bridges in Losac. That would be fantastic. I don't think we'll ever get it.
That one.
Well, I would love to have jump bridges on Citadels and Losac.
It'd be
I
cool.
think that would be a fantastic thing to add.
If we couldn't get that, at least potentially Sino beacons on Losac Citadels would be quite handy.
I think they're intertwined with Sov though.
I mean, you could always change that though.
Get rid of force yourself.
Don't push it.
Sorry, I've got a really bad cough. I don't know what I'm saying. Anywho. Was there anything else at Fanfest that came out, or was it literally just those two things? Because I can't remember anything else.
Something about Logi, Eugene, you were going to mention?
Logi
gets on Killmails.
Yeah!
It's going to be so exciting. It's actually going to look like a participate in Eve now, instead of just losing shit.
I know. It looks like you do something.
And beyond that, it's everything on Killmails, like almost everything.
Yeah, a lot deeper information on Killmails.
Yeah, I think they're going to talk about skins. Skins will be on Killmails now.
Kill marks as well.
Right.
Oh, I was going to say.
So yeah, that'll be a lot of good information on that.
Yeah, they're going to be well more detailed now.
I
everything, like almost everything, is going to be in details of the Killmails now, which is good. I like that.
I'm just happy that my Falcon's going to finally be on Killmails. Oh wait,
It would be a stats gold mine for all the people who love just to run stats on every single ship and type and fleet type. It would be
yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
The part I really like is that they're going to be releasing this information early to killboard developers so that they can actually make their killboards ready for it, which seems like a really nice idea. So credit to CCP for at least wanting to do that and get stuff working before they release it. So, power to them.
Then credit to Squiz for being an awesome human being.
Yeah, props to him. Yeah, there'll have to be like 2 columns, like damage dealt to kill a target and reppers who are trying to save it.
Well, someone came up with some concept art a while ago of like, this is what it should be like, and they had the people on the kill board, the people who killed it, and then the bottom assisted by, and then the list of people who didn't do damage but boosted it. And that seems quite a nice way to do it.
Yeah, I think boosts are also on the Killmail as well.
Oh yeah, boy!
I get to seem relevant.
So many people are excited about this. It's good. I might even start flying Logi voluntarily again.
These glory hunters.
Yeah, I'm a glory hunter, but, what can you do?
Dean, you are the greatest Logi ever, and I love you.
I love you too.
Does Logi on Killmails and Logi stats open up the pathway to fixing remote and neutral Logi in Wardex and HiSec?
I think war decks are going to be something completely different, and I'll fix that later. And that's also to do with, I think, Crime Watch as well. So,
wait, does this mean we're going to get Retribution 2.0?
I don't remember.
What's HiSec?
Yeah, war decking and Crime Watch was Retribution, so they might come back and be like, oh yeah, this stuff, we still need to fix it.
We'll see. I don't know on that one.
I mean, honestly, who gives a fuck about HiSec anyway?
I mean, we go there to buy stuff, but aside from that, who cares?
I go there to buy stuff. You guys don't do shit.
I buy stuff. Occasionally. Every now and then.
No.
Stuff for me.
I think the other pathway available...
I import stuff from there. That's it.
The other pathway available will be detailed stats on repping. So if you are part of the I Hate Faxes meme, then you will we'll have stats to show that Faxes are over repping by this much, and these are how much they're putting out per cycle, more than just the theoretical.
That is actually a good point.
That would be great for my play for warrioring, in all honesty.
I think that the problem with Faxes is not because how much they rep, it's how much tank they have.
It's kind of both. Their cycles are a little insane.
It's everything sort of mixed together. If they've got such a good tank, they can rep so much, and they're also relatively easy to get into. It's kind of a mix of everything. If there's not one particular thing that makes Faxes a bit hard to deal with in low sec, but all of them combined make them quite difficult.
It's sounding like we have a specific section in the podcast to Faxes.
we have to bitch about them every episode until they get fixed.
Yeah,
the goal now.
We are.
But Faxes are love. Faxes are life.
I think we're just going to have half an hour per podcast of just frustration with Faxes and just leave it at that.
Frustration with Faxes. Why are they so broken? Why are they so good? CCP, please nerf.
I mean, really, I guess it's biased because we're trying to kill Faxes in small gang and smaller fleets versus if you have like a dread bomb on field, I don't care how many Faxes you have, they're dying. Really, why we complain so much about them?
I think I've decided if ever we do merchandise for the Panic podcast, we're going to have a t-shirt saying "fuck Faxes" on the front.
I would disagree with this. I would not have any part in that.
I mean, honestly, I don't know how wormholers deal with Faxes. Like, one Fax on grid, that's got to be atrocious for them.
Oh, I just realised. No, Eugene, you can be part of it because we can either have the fuck Faxes and get rid of them, or fuck Faxes and make sweet salty love to them.
Yeah, fuck Fax pilots, so we can have 2 t-shirts.
Yeah, boy. Eugene doesn't sound convinced.
Moving on, there's...
Yes.
No, it's you should be fucking Fax pilots, not we don't like you. It's give sex to Fax pilots. That's what we should do.
It has to be consensual.
No.
That seems like a lot of text to put on a t-shirt. Fuck Fax pilots. Obviously it needs to be consensual. That seems like a lot of text, but we could work with it. Maybe have it like an asterisk, then on the back have like all the small print.
I was about to say that.
Just have like a massive wall of text on the back of the t-shirt of, obviously it must be consensual, obviously the fax pilot must have Logi 5, obviously you must be willing to fly faxes in any and all situations. You know, stuff like that.
Click here to agree to these terms of service.
Go to dedrader.com to find out more.
Dedrader.com.
Yeah, boy.
When baiting an enemy ship, remember to tell them you are bait, so they don't get confused and think you are actually scary. It is very helpful.
So,
Praxis.
Praxis?
Oh,
Yeah.
Praxis battleship.
Yeah.
Society of Conscious Thought new battleship.
Ah, the really awesome one.
The Gnosis battleship. Who cares?
Have they brought the stats out yet?
Yeah, it's in in the in-game fitting. You can actually simulate it.
Oh,
It's honestly shit.
It's not.
I would disagree with
is.
that. It is.
It's like
The Gnosis.
it's the Gnosis. It's a bigger Gnosis, but the beauty with the Gnosis is if you can think of a role, the Gnosis can fill it. It might not be the best ship to do it, but you could do anything with a Gnosis. And on a battleship size, that's insane.
The versatility is unparalleled. Like, it's never going to be tankier than a Mars ship. It's never going to do more DPS than a Vindicator. It's never going to be able to kite as well as a Typhoon can. But the fact that it can do anything is really nice. And, again, I haven't looked at the numbers for it. I imagine you could set up in the same way you set up a Gnosis as a gate camping insta-locking ship that just has more tank and more DPS, which honestly I don't see as a bad thing.
It's Leo's
Camping
888,
sucks.
right?
No skill in gate camping.
888. Yep.
Press F.
And it's got a huge model, so 8 highs, 8 smart bombs.
Ah, that's a good point. Yeah, or 7 in a cloak if you want to be really careful.
No, you just fit 8 stabs to it and you win.
Until a hick turns up, then you feel sad.
You can't lock anything, but you win. Oh, of course, smart bombing.
Yeah, the Praxis does look good. I'm looking forward to getting one and messing about in it, but I'm not sure how I would fly it.
Any way you want.
Recklessly.
Oh, God damn it. Further thought on the best way for me to fly it is it needs to be done.
One of every gun type, meme full. Do it.
One of every gun type. Yes. That's.
well, I mean, you autocannon, blaster, laser, and then like a railgun or a missile launcher, and then just a new NOS smart bomb. That's 7 and a cloak. Perfect.
And a
There you go.
Sino.
Or drop the Sino in the cloak and just fit a firework launcher.
Yeah, there you go.
Be the meme princess of 2018.
Don't bother checking jump distances with capitals. Simply use the force and channel your inner pigeon and you will make it to your destination every time.
So, on to the big topic of this month's episode. Eve is turning 15, and when this episode is on YouTube and all the other various places, it will in fact be turning 15 today. Yay!
Happy birthday!
I love time travel.
I know, it's so good. Hello people on May the 6th. We hope you're having a good day and you've not been taken over by the Korean or Russian overlords.
Yeah, hopefully that's not a thing.
If it is, then I officially can see into the future. So
It's an old game.
So the big question I've got to start off with is when did we all start playing this lovely game then?
Ooh.
I came in, was it 2011 area, Drake's Online, and I never, to this day I still haven't flown one. I refuse. I hate the model. And missiles.
Oh, but the Drake is so good.
No, it's not. It's awful. It's a meme. Right, Reload?
You
You need to release more videos.
Well, I will. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I actually, my account, I first started in 2006, but I didn't really start playing it until, I think 2011 or 12, you know. It was not a fun game back then, especially when you had no instructions, no YouTube videos with tutorials telling you how to do things. You just had to figure it out.
Yeah, the old days were a little bit horrific to get through.
Yeah.
August 2003 for me. Early days.
Well, I had
Brutal.
an account. I had an account in like 2014, and really started for real about 2014, so I guess I'd be the closest thing to a noob.
For me,
Wow.
my start was Wormholes Online or Apocrypha back in 2009.
Apocrypha was a good expansion, though.
It was very good. I did like the trailer for it because it just felt really sort of dark and creepy in the right sort of way.
Not in the bad way.
Not in the bad way. Not in the bad way. Sleep is pretty dank.
I joined in the golden era of battle cruisers, which was 2012 when Tier 3s came out.
Oh,
Well,
Bricks
they're called
Online.
attack battle cruisers now, as they're called, but I still call them Tier 3s.
That was, I want to say, Inferno?
I think you're right. It's the one with the dubstep, the dubstep trailer. It's
Yeah,
that one.
Inferno.
That was. I joined when.
Crucible.
Yeah, Crucible.
That's the one.
I joined. How I got into it is actually really cool. I went on Twitch when I was like 16, I think. Pretty young. And I thought, yeah, let's go on Twitch. I type in EVE Online because I was watching some like super old school EVE videos, and the Alliance tournament was on. And I watched Virgil Collapse beats Henry Loaded in the finals, and I was like, yeah, I want to do that. So I joined EVE Online because of the Alliance tournament.
Now, see, this is something I'm loving because I'm looking through the list of expansions and like the features they brought just to kind of see what came out at that time, and the details for Crucible are fantastic because they gave us player-owned customs offices with modules, automatic crash reporting, in-depth Killmails, which now list implants, new T2 modules, new war drones, manufactured T2 rigs, and my personal favourite, capital ship balancing to make fleet battles fair.
Yeah.
Oh, that worked out well.
What was the capital rebalance? I don't remember it.
I think they added a load of other tweaks and stuff just to make capital ships less balked than they were. They also added tie-dye, which obviously everyone loves today. Captain's quarters, because they're so relevant today. Press F to pay respects. And apparently, they also added, when your weapon misses, it now tells you it missed, and it shows you missing.
Yeah, no 0 damage notifications.
CCP, it just took them 8 years to add a ability to show you missing a shot.
I mean, how long did it take them to make you allowed to group guns? Like 3 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So
There was a lot of weird stuff back in the day.
It took them 5 years. They added it in Quantum Rise.
That's old.
Amazing.
They added that in the expansion before I joined. So I joined. In fact, when I joined in Apocrypha, they just added the skill queue, which was, a thing, and weapon grouping. So I'm pretty happy that I joined when I did.
Before the skill queue, you had to add. You started each skill, and if it ran out in the middle of the night, you'd log on and you would have no skill training.
Alarm clocking.
Alarm clocking was a thing, just for skills.
Go ahead.
You could also, back in the day, you could directly target missiles and shoot them. And also missiles used to do splash damage, which would also damage other missiles.
Oh. Talking about the skill queue, don't forget, in Apocrypha they added the 24-hour skill queue, not the lovely, glorious, unlimited skill queue we know today.
Yeah.
It's not unlimited, 50
not
skills
unlimited.
maxed.
It's 50 skills, but seriously, the fact that it can last like 2 years is phenomenal.
Yeah. 400 days is the most I've seen mine fully
That's a
Could have
lot.
that long plan,
But like the fact
Speaking
that
of
you have
skills, the amount of times I had to retrain Battleship 5 because of a pod.
Clone grades dying, so good they did that.
I was still a noob, so it didn't really cost me much to keep going my clones, but I knew a guy who had like 180 million SP, and it was just like, 50 mil every time you want a PvP. It's like, is it even worth it at this point?
It was a weird ISK sync.
I'm glad they got rid of it.
Yeah, gate guns used to pod people as well.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that would be so good to still have, though. I would love that.
And at one point, when you took a jump gate, a Stargate, you'd jump to an empty bit of space. It would be the same bit of space as if you would jump into a Stargate, but there'd be no Stargate there, and there'd be no gate guns. So you would literally just jump into trouble with no way of getting out.
Oh, that's savage.
Sounds very balanced.
I do remember people having to bookmark gates because you would bump weird or not land correctly or some shit.
You would always
I
warp
wasn't
at 10.
there for it. That was it.
Yeah,
I wasn't there for it, but I heard a lot about that in the past.
You'd warp to 10. You wouldn't be able to warp to any object at 0. So you warp to 10. So people would set the bookmark, 10 kilometers further forward. But those to alliances and groups, those bookmarks were worth something. You could actually make a living out of selling travel bookmarks.
God, good old days.
I do remember seeing bookmark packs. I
Yep.
never knew
Yeah.
why.
That was a thing.
I do remember seeing that shit up on Market years ago. Or contracts, rather.
Back when I used to live down, Featherballis kind of area, and they didn't have the smuggler jump gates back then, so it was a lot, just to get down to Featherballis from, like, high sec was 60 odd jumps. So those bookmarks were so handy.
My first day in EVE, I was in a Vexer, and I had spent... My buddy got me into it, and he linked me a system. It was when I lived out in Cobalt Edge, and I spent, I think, 45 minutes jumping a Vexer through bubbles, and I gated like 30 jumps into nullsec without getting ganked, and I made it. I'm like, hey guys, I'm here. I'm like, wait, what? How did you make it? I'm like, you told me to get here. I brought my Vexer. What am I doing? Like, it's crazy. Shit I wouldn't even fucking do today.
See, I was a miner in high sec my first year, and then I just got bored of it, so I started looking for nullsec alliances, right? And so I was actually trying to join some alliance that was asking for APIs, and I'm in their recruitment channel, and someone links join hold. So I link that, and they're like, insta accept, and they're like, oh, come here, and they gave me their staging, and I was like, oh, all right. So I got in my orca, packed up all my shit, had the cloaky, and I just gate jump all the way to nullsec. And then they see me docking an orca in the station. They're like, what the fuck are you doing with that here? And I'm like, that's all my stuff. And they're like, but this is a fucking war zone. And I'm like, but this is all my stuff.
You need your things.
It looked like the greatest bait ever, though.
It's sort of one of those, I know what it is, but what's it doing here?
Orca bait, best bait.
Oh man, I remember when I was doing high-sec merc stuff back in the old days, and I used to use my orca to move stuff around between deployments.
Yeah, they're nice for that, yeah.
And then they changed it so you can have industrial ships, and I was like, no, now I have to fly them one by one.
The first month on EVE, I did level 3 missions, and I thought, you know what? I've been watching all these crazy people doing PvP videos, right? And so I thought I'll get myself into a catalyst, right? And I see all these people; they always have 2 reppers. So I'm thinking, yeah, I'll put 2 reppers on my catalyst, right? And I was like, oh yeah, they always have a cap booster. So I bought a cap booster and I put a point on my catalyst, right? And of course, at the time, I thought it was a good idea, but it was like the worst fit ever. And since it was only in 2012, you can actually go and see the fit on my original character. And it was like half of them were blasters and half of them were railguns because I didn't have the fitting. And so I warped into 2 battle cruisers when they were like OP as fuck. And in a random belt, I was like, yeah, let's go fuck them up, fine. I got like 1 shot. I was like, what the fuck happened?
When roaming, don't forget to fly in your most expensive clone you have. You want to reward the good little boys and girls who get you on a gate with a smart bomb.
I remember when I got my first battle cruiser, the Ferox, and I was so excited. I was like, I've got a Ferox, I can do anything. I bought it and I didn't look at the system, and it turns out it was Rancer. So
oh, the good times. Yeah.
I know. So I went to go get it, and I undocked from like, oh my god, the ship is so nice. Jumped to the can't remember the name of the system, but the one all the way to Jita. Got through it. And there's a gate camp. That's the one. There's a gate camp there, and I'm like, oh, hey friendos, how's it going? Wait, why are you shooting at me? I haven't done anything wrong. What? My Ferox, no.
Rip.
Back in the old days, I'd been playing for like I think a month and a half at that point, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a Ferox because they look bitchin'.
I think my first loss was to a guy. I was in low sec, and he's like, "Come to the top belt. There's some loot. There's some loot in the top belt." And I was like, "Okay." And I just went.
Okay. Just okay. I'm on my way.
I didn't know about scamming or anything like that. I didn't think anybody would dick me over, but they did. They did, and that guy, what was his name? DeLorean Cremax. I can still remember his fucking name. It's emblazoned on my brain. I'll get my revenge one day.
Is that what we're talking about? First losses? I think the first loss I can think of was I just joined my first corporation. Had really still no clue about Eve and what to do. And this guy invited me to a wormhole. He's like, "Yeah, come on out. I'm gonna show you how to do it." I was like, "Oh, cool! First corporation, first wormhole, all kinds of neato stuff going on." And he's like, "Okay, so you enter the wormhole and now warp to me. Just right click and warp to fleet member." I did, and he blew me up, and he left me in the wormhole.
Nice.
And I had no clue how to get. I didn't even know how to get out. I was like, "What? Like, what do I do?" I didn't even realize I could pod myself. I was just sitting there thinking, like, "What do I do?" I was there for like 4 or 5 days, just thinking about it.
Oh no!
Wow.
Wow. Thought that's bad. Well, mine was just kind of silly. I just trained into an omen, and I was like, "Ooh, I can go into low sec. I can go into low sec asteroid belts and rat the good stuff, right?" So I'm in my little omen, and I'm out there and I'm pewing at the rats, and this guy with a Newt Vexa Navy issue warps in on me, and I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck?" I'm like, "Oh, all right, he's got drones." So there I am, I'm shooting. I'd read some stuff, so I start shooting at his drones, and then I notice my capacitor's out. Because, well, Amar, right? So it took me about 10 minutes to die, because it was buffer tanked, but lesson learned. And I had
similar.
I had a salvager on the bloody omen, okay?
Nice.
I had similar, my mighty hurricane that I was so proud of. I'd worked so hard to get a decent fit, to do level 3s, and I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go do some low sec belts. I'm going to make those good ticks. The low sec belt ratting. Yeah. Rolling through there until the Pilgrim found me. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't lock beyond 0. Didn't know how that worked. Was pretty upset when I died.
What about you, Rallied? What was your first embarrassing loss?
My first embarrassing loss?
First loss.
First loss was a catalyst.
Oh,
That was my. I mean, I can actually look it up right now if you give me a second. If you're talking about embarrassing loss, probably my most embarrassing loss was losing an Alliance tournament ship in high sec.
Oh.
Oh dear.
Well done, by the way.
I lost a whiptail to high sec police.
Oh, I want one so bad.
Oh.
Yeah, 'cause,
As an interceptor pilot, I want one.
I mean, they're pretty good, pretty overpowered. It's like a worm crow put together. That's probably my most embarrassing loss. Just 120 bill, just like I may as well just like burn $1,000.
My most embarrassing was actually like 6 or 8 months ago, when I was trying to show off to one of my guys and show him how to kill an NPC mining fleet in my Thanatos.
Oh no.
And I got really sad really quick because my Thani could not actually kill the tackle that was holding me down.
What about you, Eugene?
I think. Oh, got disconnected. I think my most embarrassing loss had nothing to do with ship fittings, but what I did do, or I was pretty good at frigate 1v1 at one point, and my favourite ship was the Rifter, and I thought I could take on anybody. So I challenged this guy 1v1, and I was kind of mouthing off and being a bit fucking bravado and all this, and he kicked my ass, and I died horribly.
Oh.
But that taught me the biggest lesson I got from that was just don't mouth off in local. I'm very quiet in local nowadays. Humbled by one Rifter loss.
Oh no. Question I have is, when you guys started, did anyone fall for any Jesus scams, or am I the only person who fell for one?
Nope.
I don't want to admit
I
it,
have-
but
I paid a
I
billion
actually-
for I paid a billion for a pair of geckos once.
Oh,
That was fun.
Did anybody pay 500 mil for a Tech 2 invuln field because the guy told you it makes you invulnerable for 30 seconds?
I mean,
Well
it does say
done.
invulnerability field.
I
mean,
know! I was misled, and I was like, oh my god.
I can see how I can definitely see it where like I can see it if you're completely new. But
I've been playing
yeah,
for 3
rip.
days at that point, and a friend gave me some money to like help me out. And I just went back to him and was like, yeah, about that money you lent me, can I have some more? What did you do with it? I might have bought a module that wasn't as advertised.
Yeah, I've been scammed before. Actually, recently, probably 3 months ago, I was scammed out of 4
I
billion.
remember that.
How did you get
Um,
scammed?
It was margin trading scam. And
Oh shit!
like, I had been stung with it before, years ago, just before I left. Last time, actually, maybe that was one of the reasons I left. But it was on 2 purple mods last time. But this time it was on some really crap Tech 2 inertial stabilizer, and there was a guy buying like 5,000 units of them at a crazy price, and I was like, buy them all on the market, and I did. And yeah, it wasn't until I realised that I couldn't fulfill the order first of all, and I had to ship more in, that it was a margin trading scam. So,
Oh no.
that was.
I once bought a Tech
shit.
1 Guardian Vexor. That happened.
Hmm.
The Guardian Vexor scams, and I bought one.
Oh,
Oh,
rip.
yeah.
Got a Tech 1.
Oh, no.
I got
I
recruitment
actually-
scammed into test. They took most of my stuff, half my ISK, and then didn't recruit me, and I was pissed. And then 3 years later, I crushed them in Fountain, and it took them another 3 years to actually build them back up to who they are now. So I felt
boy.
vindicated.
The butterfly effect.
Sweet
Fighting
revenge.
words.
If you leave the game for good, remember to give all of your stuff to Panic. They will look after it for you.
So, talking about Fountain, this leads us to the next topic, which is a lot of big events have happened over Eve, and as it's its 15th birthday, it seems a good opportunity to just look back on a few of them and just kind of reflect and just be like, how would that change the game if it happened today, for example? And I can think of no better place to start than Steve the Titan, the
Rip
first
Steve.
Titan ever constructed in the game. Was anyone around for that, or was that well before all of our times?
I visited the monument once.
There's a monument?
There
Yeah,
is.
There's
a
a monument in
There is a
space.
monument in the system where it died. Yeah.
Holy fuck.
I was in
Correct,
the
yeah.
corporation. I think it was Celestial Horizon. I was in there for 2 days, but that's the only connection I had.
But I'll say, did they recruit you with the, by the way, we're building up the game's first Titan, lol, 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 or do they not quite go that far?
No, they owned the station I had assets in, and I wanted access to the assets. That was about it.
I mean, I figured at
Typical.
that point they would be ridiculously OPSEC about the first Titan being built. I mean, Titans are still OPSEC when they're being built, I think.
Well, that's sort of the following question of that was obviously a huge deal when the first one was built. Do people really care about Titans being built these days, or is it a bit, obviously keeping it secret because you don't want people to find out, but like, is it really a big thing when a new Titan gets built?
Only for the shit talking when it dies. Or Vehement. Or not Vehement, what's that fucking thing called? When Snuff killed the first faction Titan kill, that video is fantastic. I can't remember the name of the Titan though.
I think it depends on the size of your group. If you're a small group and your group only has a couple Titans, then building your own Titan seems like a good group initiative. But if you're in a group like the Goons, they're selling like 50 plus supers a day. They don't care.
So the construction of a Titan is now just almost one of those everyday events for people.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Almost. Yeah, I mean it's a complicated one, but with the amount of Rorquals you've got floating out there and just the sheer amount of roids they can crunch through, it's really just a just another super.
When I first listened to podcasts back in 2015, there was a lot of coverage on the news sites and on the podcasts of every single Titan loss. And that was big news. Like, one Titan died a month. For a month was a big week, like big month, right? And until BTEC-R, like, you know, that was game changing. But nowadays, like, how many Titans die a month? Nobody even fucking counts.
I mean, I have new bros still that come in and go, "Oh my god, there's a Titan just floating in space here. What do we do?" I'm like, it's just a typical day in where we live. Just leave him alone. Don't bother. He's just sit there all day. They get so excited to see Titans, and I forget what it's like to be that. Oh my god, it's a Titan!
I do remember seeing my first Titan and being like, wow. Like, being very impressed. It was in a pause as well.
First one I saw, I bridged off a Leviathan and a Dramiel. It was the greatest day.
Nice.
I used to
First
run
time
a
I
Dramiel,
saw-
nothing but. I love them.
First time I saw Titans was PL's entire blob and like fade during World War B. It was quite a moment. They kept AWOXing, Hordlings that kept wandering too close to them.
Don't touch the Titan.
Yeah, stay away, New Breen, stay away. Yeah.
I remember every time we used to take a Titan bridge, you would tip the bridge. Like, well out in nullsec, everybody would tip the bridge, and that guy would get so much money just for hot dropping something with a subcap fleet. 60 dudes tipping him 5 mil a pop was pretty ridiculous back then.
Damn, that's money right there.
Oh, it's crazy money.
So, fasting forward a few years to 2007, we're going to talk about Band of Brothers very quickly. Was anyone here in Band of Brothers, or know anyone who was in Band of Brothers?
I don't.
My ex-CEOs were from Squad 5. They were Band of Brothers, yeah.
Ooh.
They didn't say too much about it, though. Yeah.
Well, with Band of Brothers, obviously, I'm guessing, are you guys all aware of the T20 scandal?
That was the...
I remember that.
Was that not something to do with Minor 2s?
It was to do with a CCP dev whose in-game character name was T20, basically providing Band of Brothers with T2 BPOs, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
And that obviously was a huge issue because Band of Brothers at that point, were, I think they were the most powerful entity in nullsec, just because they had so much infrastructure, and at the core of it were these T2 BPOs that they'd been given. And effectively, no one could really deal with them because they had all this wealth and all this power. But as soon as that scandal came out, it really damaged them. Obviously, it damaged CCP because they had a dev who was helping an alliance. And I believe it led to the formation of... I can't remember the name of it. It's the entity that monitors CCP players and their interaction with the games.
Internal security, basically.
It was also where the CSM came from, indirectly, too, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? I did not know that.
That's what it says on Reddit. It
Oh,
must
yeah!
be true.
Scandal promoted the creation of CCP Internal Affairs Department and the creation of the CSM as a developer watchdog.
It's on Reddit. It must be true.
Must be, yeah.
Hint
But it
of
doesn't-
sarcasm.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Let me just check.
A lot of these years are covered in detail in Andrew Rowan's first Empires Week.
I still need to read that book, but diversing very quickly. Have you guys seen he's did a Kickstarter for his second book?
Yep.
Which I believe got funded in the time it took him to present about it at FanFest.
I'm not surprised, to be honest.
It's sort of he started the presentation, talked about it, and at the end of it just went, and I've just been informed that it has reached its Kickstarter goal, so awesome.
Yeah, I actually talked to him about that. That's going to be an upcoming release on Eve News. Yeah, he was a really nice guy. It's like a 20-minute interview.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he has some very interesting perspectives. He is he says he's a complete outsider, and yeah, so he's got very very interesting insights on things. Yeah.
I would love to get him on the podcast at some point to talk about the books, because I would love to know more about them. But that I think might be quite difficult, but I'm going to try.
He's US West Coast.
Shouldn't be too difficult, just do it quite late. But yes, so Band of Brothers and the T20 thing and sort of the collapse of Band of Brothers, because that led the way to a lot of other alliances gaining footholds and more power. What other big events have we got here? We've got the Guiding Hand Social Club and the Interstellar Bank heists. Those were pretty big events when they happened.
I can't remember them. I do remember the Guiding Hand Social Club. I remember the guy who was at Fanfest, actually, the CEO, but that's about it. Can you give us a summary of what happened?
It's effectively... let me just check. One of the guys in there spent over a year infiltrating an alliance. The guy's name was Miriel, I believe. The aforementioned CEO of Ubica. Sorry, I'm reading this from my notes. But effectively, they assassinated the CEO, collected and returned the frozen corpse intact, and basically just stole a billion.
They took everything that's not nailed down and shut down that entire alliance, even though the contract was only for a corpse.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I remember that shit.
The thing is, the total haul came to about I think 30 billion or something.
That was a lot back then, though.
It was a lot back then. I mean, it's still a really high amount now, but it's not sort of newsworthy. But that was absolutely enormous when it happened. And this was back in when was this actually? Because I can't remember. I want to say 2008, 2009-ish. I'm not 100% sure. My dates are a bit fuzzy.
And this was well covered by the outside gaming media, which generated a lot of positive press for CCP through the negative implications of this action.
Yeah. Scamming
Honestly,
is legal in Eve. Yes, it is.
The media that players and random entities do brought me back into Eve. Like, I took a mild break, and then once BTAC-R happened, I literally reinstalled the day that I read the article. After I think it was a year or two break in there, just doing other stuff, and I was reading the coverage on official gaming forums and stuff, and then I saw a bunch of videos of the fight on YouTube while I was working that day. And as soon as I got home, I'm like, we're going back in. I'm staying this time, and I've been here ever since.
But it's phenomenal when things like that happened. Again, when you see like articles in BBC News and stuff talking about Eve, you're like, oh shit, that's the game I play. I'm part of that. And everyone just looks and just goes, wait, what? And you're like, yeah, no, this is a really big deal. And the fact that it's in the news is a really big deal, and no one really understands it. But with the bank heist, effectively, it was a Ponzi scheme. An investment bank that was being run by Dentara Rast and Callie. And effectively, it was just investment banking, and then at the end of it, just kind of cut and run, and walked off with something around 700 billion-esque.
That's a lot of money.
It's a shitload of money. Like, even by today's standards, that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a 500 bill heist this week, and it was pretty notable. But yeah, 700
that
bills
was that was the flipped Keepstar, wasn't it?
It was
the GOTG one.
The Keepstar was not flipped. The Keepstar was just in the hangar.
Oh boy.
The Fortizars were flipped. So one of them is already on final timer, and the other one's just gonna have to be dealt with. But yeah, those were like long-term sleeper spies, most likely.
Oh,
I was actually in that corp when I first joined Darkness, and those two, there was always I never got along with them. I don't know. It was like a husband and wife pair, actually.
Ooh. But with the investment bank, the ending comment on the forums was just fantastic. Of just, I fooled everyone. I win, Eve.
Yeah.
I personally just love it when people do stuff like that, because it adds a human element to the game that's not part of the gameplay. It's just a person came up with that, a person did that and fooled people and like gained everyone's trust. It wasn't because he was good at the game or because he was good at PvP. He did it because he was good at talking to people and working with people.
Yeah, it's a whole other layer to the game.
Yeah.
Which I don't think you get in other games. I think because this is a single shard, you have people that, can have a real impact on the rest of the population.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is probably one of like the only games that I can think of in like gaming that you can play the game by not playing the game.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like diplomats and stuff for alliances, that they can never undock, and they can shape how the game works and how different empires interact with each other, and never undock in a ship or log in.
Yep.
I think Mittens doesn't log in these days. He just runs everything, and Goonswarm is incredibly powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So the meme says. Reddit told me he never logs in, so he must never log in.
He does.
Must be true. It's on Reddit.
Yes, if it's on Reddit, it's true. You heard it here. What else
I mean,
have we
the
got?
biggest war victory of last year was caused by the judge, and it was all through button clicks, right? Not through spaceships.
Remember, if you have the slots for it, then tank, armor, and shield. This will take the enemy by surprise and you will win. Every time. 100% panic guarantee.
Now, see, the CO2 Betrayal, I know very little about it. I just know the general gist of the reason why he got banned and all that kind of stuff, but I don't actually know any of the lead up to it. Does anyone here know anything about it?
How long do you have?
Just the...
How long do you have?
Oh boy.
Great
Well,
answer.
I know the short version. Like, the short version is, Judge was pretty much carrying all the day-to-day stuff, and through CSM off, turned him, and
I was there.
That was that. You were there? Well, he probably knows more than I do. Yeah.
If you'd like the short form, there's a great podcast by the Wesper podcast, and the third part of their series on EVE Online focuses specifically on the judge and that event through good conversations with Aerith.
Send me that link and I will link it in the description and also look at it after we're done here.
Yeah, they do a very good job of describing it. We'll just butcher it if we do it in short form here.
So yes, the short version. Or a version. Or was that pretty much it?
I think he was saying we would butcher it. We do a short version.
Disgruntled diplomat steals everything from a asshole of the CEO.
That works. And CEO threatens to cut off his hands and gets banned.
Yep. But is he?
I don't know. I mean, I heard he was banned, but I don't really know who's banned and who's not banned.
We have to check Reddit.
Yeah, if Reddit says it, it must be true.
Reddit, best news source ever.
Most accurate news source.
I love Reddit propaganda. I know it's a side, but it's so good.
Yeah.
I love propaganda in general. Being part of the propaganda team here is fantastic.
It's not just propaganda, it's propaganda that is done correctly or has effort put into it.
Well, there's very little of anything on Reddit that's done correctly. It has effort into it. Let's be serious for 2 minutes, please.
I mean, hey, Reddit has some really good content coming from it.
It's good for a laugh sometimes.
You say that, and my Ezekiel guides got famous because of Reddit. So
Reddit
Yeah,
is a good tool
yes,
for promotion.
but they're also really good. Like, I'm not even gonna front. They're fantastic, and I've been a fangirl for a long time. I love you.
thanks.
Yeah, as soon as one of those videos would come out, I would immediately post that for this will be my intro to my podcast 100% of the time.
I still wait for some of your videos, mate. They're hilarious.
Well, you won't have to wait any longer because in like 2 weeks' time, a new Ezekiel guide is gonna come out, guaranteed.
Yeah, boy.
You heard it here first, folks.
It's gonna
Oh.
be the Macarial.
Yes!
Confirmed.
Yeah, Mike got changed because of me. Because they wanted to nerf it because it was basically it was like really strong in nullsec and everyone just spammed them. So we're like, okay, so how about we change the low slot to a mid slot? It nerfs armor tanks and you can nerf fall off as well, which makes arties a little less OP at range. So we did it and it's pretty good. I think the change is good.
I reckon you should do a piss take of the monitor and go into real depth about it and talk like it's a really complicated ship.
Oh, triggered. I wish it was better. Really do.
Or
Still really strong.
or talk about like a jump freighter, and again, act like there's loads of different variables to take into account and stuff. Be like, well, you need to think about sort of the pull of these planets and sort of stuff like that, and go into it like as a really complicated fitting, and just be like, oh yeah, shit, just fit nanos.
Yeah.
Or bulkheads. Or jump
Never
economizers.
nanos, always bulkheads in high sec. And
But, like,
fuck every one of you who tries to bump me in high sec, you leave me alone.
you stay away from me and my son. But yes, moving on to the next big historical event, or the big historical events I've got written down here, the Bloodbath of B-R.
That was a good time.
That was a...
Good times.
I was nowhere near it, but I was feeling the impact of it even in high sec at that time.
Yeah, I was in the Imperium at the time. Didn't get to participate in the slaughter at, what was it, GTech U, where all the dreads came in and never loaded grid and everybody killed those. But I had my arty nag ready to go to jump into that fight. And then B-R was a couple days later, and I just happened to be on for the middle of that fight. Didn't get into the actual system and didn't get bogged down in the tie-dye, but I got to guard one of the staging locations and, you know, hear about it and watch it on YouTube and Twitch and everything as all the Titans were dying, and then finally got in system to kill the last 4. I got to Horon 4, which was nice, but...
How long did the fight last? Like 10 hours or something crazy like that?
20.
It lasted 21 hours.
Oh, that's savage.
But one of the interesting things, and again, this is sort of part of the how are things different now to how things were. This took place in 2014, so only 4 years ago, and it had right. So you know the fight at 9-TAC R broke world records, and it's in the Guinness Book of Records now.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah, boy. It had 6,142 players. Can you guess how many players were in the system of B-R at the maximum point?
4,720.
Nope.
4150.
No. 2,670.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
Only 2,000 players. Jesus.
I mean, I say that's it, but that's almost a third of how many were in the latest battle. So that just shows 4 years later, the biggest fights that are happening are 3 times as big.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
more stuff happened in this fight. Let's just say that.
the lesson of that Dread Bomb and a couple other fights within the Halloween War, which led up to B-R, was that if we put too many people in system, we would crash the server. So we intentionally kept out most of our subclad fleets because the meta at that time was drone assist with like dummies. So you just drop 5 sentry drones, assign it to your FC, and then walk away from your computer until the fight was over. So with so many drones on grid and so many individual models and individual things that need to be rendered, it just crashed the server. So in order to maintain that huge fight and maintain it so the server didn't collapse under the load of too many nerds, we just kept our subcap fleets out, and it was a really strategic decision by the FCs.
I was in the Tri fight not too long ago, where Tri lost to Keepstar. I
was in that fight.
That was ridiculous amounts of tie-dye. We were running, Nico and I were running a bomber fleet while those guys were defending and supers and titans and all that other stuff, and it was ridiculous. I think we hit a record in that system at the time. I think it was like 4,000, 5,000 in local at one point. But it's been the record of EVE ever since. I don't think there's been anything bigger than that fight. Like
we came pretty close in MTO2, like when we tried to drop the Keepstar over there this summer. Yeah. That was over 4,000, and the second fight was pretty close too. But my God, the first one was like 9 hours of just tie-dye lag hell. Took that Keepstar quite some time to go down.
With the Tri Keepstar in A2, the thing I found impressive is there was loads and loads of coverage in all the different news sites about the 9-TAC Arse timers and everyone gearing up for that. Not a single person mentioned the A24 Citadel until it had been destroyed, and I was like, that's a Keepstar, that's still a huge deal. I was amazed that no one was even mentioning, saying, oh, by the way, there's a Tri Citadel coming out in a few days' time, it should be a good fight.
I think it just got overshadowed, I think.
Yeah. The $1
Pro
million
Gold making...
battle was right around that time too. That never
Yeah.
happened. Greatest blue ball ever.
Well, that 9-Tech 4 fight, the $1 million battle, had the 6,400 people in local at its peak of its fight. But there were also 4,000 people waiting in the wings for their Sino, you know?
I think it's fair to say that legitimately a third of people in EVE who were online at that time were involved in that fight in some way or form.
Oh, I
My
couldn't
way
get
was,
in, but I was doing Jitta market runs, and holy shit, I've never seen Jitta that low in local. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was the most maximum hyped, maximum broadcast. Everyone was there to horror, right?
I had 3 characters on grid. It was not fun.
I spent 45 minutes getting into the system, but it was cool heading out there. I was just in a whoring interceptor, but just every system you got closer, there was more and more people, and then you started seeing, you know, capital staging, and it was really cool.
I mean, to be honest, I had loads more fun in the aftermath. I just reshipped into a scepter, and we just kept killing all the abandoned fighters and a bunch of stupid carrier pilots that kept YOLOing in solo. Yeah, I probably killed more like just cleaning up after that fight than in the actual thing.
I would imagine that people would be scooping all that. That's a lot of ISK on fields, but I mean, I guess it's relative.
Oh yeah, if you watch my video of like the second part, in some bits you can see the MTUs fighting over the wrecks. I mean, I was just shooting the fighters, you know. Like, why not free kills? Yeah.
It'll be an amazing day when either the game community is down below a threshold, or that the server technology advances to the point where we can hold these battles at full speed.
Oh, that'd be so
thousands
good.
of players.
That would be insane. Like, that would be crazy.
The problem with that is people will just bring even more people.
Well, there's a certain point where EVE's population is just going to be able to be handled. Like, the game is just not going to be that popular.
Either the servers are better, or people just stop playing the game.
But actually, this was mentioned by CCP kind of afterwards. Every time there's a big battle like this, the servers have to be improved to accommodate it. Again, looking at BTAC-R, that taxed the servers to almost maximum capacity when that happened, and that was a third of the size of this one. So every time there's a big fight, it pushes the servers. It's just you have these huge issues when you have these big fights, but they mean that fights that are smaller than them in the future will go off without a hitch.
Well, I'd have to disagree with that. I mean, lately, like over in the north, like we've got loads of fights with less than 500 people on grid, and I'm seeing 10% tie-dye and server lag when that never used to happen when there were less than 1,000 people on grid. I don't know what's going on. 500
surprise fights or
mostly surprise fights, yeah. So I suppose you could argue. You could argue, all right, they didn't have a chance to reinforce the node, but why do you need to reinforce the node for just 500 characters?
Go ask a Call of Duty player if he could get 500 Call of Duty accounts into one game, and it was just it'd be completely impossible. For us to talk about 400 clients connected to one server interacting with each other is just the hubris of how dynamically interesting this game is on the technical back end.
Well, Call of Duty, you've got rendered, 3-dimensional figures running around. We're dots here. And it's not that it's a recurring problem, it's something that I've noticed a lot more the past 6 months to a year. Like maybe it's all the new graphical stuff they're bringing in, but I'm experiencing, a little bit more tie-dye, a little bit more lag in smaller and smaller fights.
They're 3D rendered objects for me.
Yeah, I mean, I understand zoomed out purple dots, but like the amount of shit that's on fields, even in like 100 versus 100, if you have anything with drones, the amount of stuff that has to get rendered, I can't even, like, to me, there's a bunch of little guys in the computer with fairy dust just making it happen, because I can't comprehend how the fuck this server can handle even a 100 versus 100 fight with the amount of inputs that we put in. like people shooting each other, random guys warping in and smart bombing, how all that damage gets calculated, it's just fucking magic. I don't think it's real.
I mean, we
think there's
don't
we
don't get tie-dye when we have fights with like 168 people in system, but we still have graphical lag. Like, I always have to turn my PC down to potato mode when there's 100 plus people in local. And again, we're nowhere near tie-dye, so I don't understand how the servers can cope with it when my desktop can barely cope with it. And that's just it rendering what it can see, not doing all the calculations itself.
Yeah, I think it's magic.
Yeah, there's a whole section in the Fanfest coverage about the day-to-day at CCP, so check that out. How they keep the servers online.
What I find amazing is the size of the databases and the number of transactions that must go in and out of the database every second. Just the amount of information that's there. If you think every single one of your modules has an entry in a database somewhere, it's incredible.
They try to pull as much of it off as possible, but yeah, there's a lot of it just on a single monolith.
Like, I know CCP gets shit on a lot for this, but the fact that the servers run, even if at tie-dye speed, the fact that they're still up with that many clients and that many inputs going on at once is just fucking crazy to me.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
So
it's impressive that they make it happen without multi-threading.
If they had multi-threading,
yeah,
if they had multi-threading, it would be fine. But the model, the way the game works, you just can't do it multi-threaded. It has to be a serial sort of process. Everything needs to be processed in exactly the same time frame. So, yeah, that's their challenge. But maybe they'll find a way to completely rewrite the engine somehow. Well, I'm not a games developer, and if I had the answer, I'd be very rich, but hopefully they'll find the answer.
Scouting is for casuals. The real pros crash gate with no idea what's on the other side, because they like surprises like spiders in their drinks.
So, moving on to the final part of the history of EVE, I think we'd be lazy if we didn't at least mention World War B, because that was a huge deal. Yoss, I believe you wrote loads of stuff about World War B, what was happening. Do you want to give us some insight into it? Because I'm opposed to it.
I didn't write World War B. I was just flying frigates in it. Like the ones I wrote about was like, you know, the Hakonin deployment, and, deployment to the drone lands. But from my perspective, you know, it was short version. Imperium pissed everyone off, and everyone drove them out of the north. Something Saren, as someone said earlier.
That was me. Yeah. Gargoons.
I mean, we almost conquered the whole game. If you dirty low-seckers, wouldn't have come and got upset about us trying to conquer your low-sec.
Low-sec needs love. Forget about us.
The Viceroy system was hilarious. I mean, none of us believed internally that it was going to work. It was hilariously polarizing to the rest of the community.
What was that?
The Viceroy system was the trigger. We thought we were going to be an Imperium, so we were going to have like governors running sections of space that we had no dominion over, and you would have to pay like a mob boss kind of protection racket to us for owning your own space.
Wow.
And that's what led to the Money Badger Coalition being formed and CO2 flipping the first time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. Why CO2 flipped and how they felt like they were the only fighting force that was defending the South as everyone else retreated or evac'd, right? Because the Imperium at that time was a lot of paper tiger, right? We'd never been tested. We'd held the North for 5 years. There wasn't a lot of serious attacks. The groups that attacked would just be thrown back by SIGs or CTAs, right? When all of EVE coalesced to push us out, it was, 6 fronts and the internal failures and the lack of, Imperium leadership didn't want to sacrifice everything to defend Declan or defend Pureblind or anything, right? They saw it as a financial trade-off. Like, what's the financial gain in us standing here and fighting to the last man the way Test did in Fountain? And they didn't see the financial benefit in that. They saw the 5-year plan of where do we want Imperium to be in 5 years? Well, still alive.
See, they didn't want that space anyway.
But yeah, it was a time. It wasn't as big as fights as I think everybody hoped, but it was a time. I think I got all my stuff out. No, that's not true. There's still stuff out there.
that moment we have to double check and be like, I think everything's gone, but I can't be certain.
I was in CO2, so I had a different position at that time when World War B was going on.
As far as getting stuff out goes, I remember I was in Garde a while ago, and I went on holiday for a couple of weeks, and I came back, and I was like, oh, this space looks weird. What's going on? And then I realised the Russians had taken over our borders, and I was like 5 jumps into enemy territory at that point with a freighter, and I was like, oh boy, I've made a terrible mistake.
Oops.
Rip.
Oh, it's fine. I joined the corporation that owned the station to get out, and I was like, yeah, I'll be a logistics pilot for you. They said, cool, can you get some stuff from HiSec for us? I was like, yeah, I'll do that. Started heading out, and I was going absolutely going fine until I got to the head GP gate.
Oh, the classic head GP, eh?
Yep, I got onto the gate, jumping into head GP, and I got third partied by another gang. And I was like, I was so close. One jump out from safety. But no, Eve decided it wanted to kill my freighter rather than let me escape, which is fine. So, on to...
You didn't want that freighter anyway.
I didn't need that freighter anyway.
Panic is recruiting miners and industrialists for legitimate work in low-sec. You will be safe. You are not bait. We value your presence.
Moving on to the final topic of today's podcast, which is gonna be content and content creators. Ooh.
Ooh.
As everyone can deduce, we have a lot of content creators in this podcast.
Yep.
So
Different forms as well.
I was going to say that there's many forms of content creation.
Yeah.
So let's start with the big question. Why do you guys do what you do? Why do you guys produce the content you do? Whether it's YouTube, podcasts, or news articles, or stuff in game itself.
Well, I'll just break the ice. Well, like for me, like I started with the YouTubing. It was just like, oh, I'm spending 8 hours a day on this. Let's, do something with it, right? So from there, it became sort of like a corp recruitment thing. It's like my YouTube videos, they're pretty much just, hey, this is us flying around, blowing shit up, join us here, right? The writing, I got into the writing sort of a segue from that, because, oh, look, hey, you make great videos, come write stuff for us. So, okay. So, I get a good video, I'll write a good article. Lately, I've been writing other stuff, so for me, there's the 2 reasons, right? Like, just share the information, help people get into it, and, I make the other stuff mainly for recruitment because, well, as a director, taxpayers are a good thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I can't write, so I can speak all right. So when I got into listening to podcasts, I found that the opinions shared in there often agreed, sometimes disagreed, and I'd find myself yelling at my speakers or muffledly complaining about what Dirk was saying in open comms or what were the other shows I was listening to. Just back there, like the High Drag guys, I'd be like, oh, I want to hear more about that lore stuff. So like I'd mutter about that to myself, and I wanted to get involved with those communities, and I did, and I started speaking with those people, and it was interesting, but none of the shows really fit how I wanted to produce content. So I, pulled up stakes. I found a partner, and we both ventured off and started our own show. And, Mindclash is part my ideas, part Kale's ideas, and it's bringing the podcast content that I always wanted to listen to in my ears as I commuted to work or did some housework around the house.
Fair enough. For me, at the time there was no funny YouTube videos out there, and even today it's pretty savage on how there's no funny Eve videos. It's really hard to make funny Eve videos because Eve is, number one, it's a very serious game. Number two, it's a very slow game. It's unbelievably slow, in fact. And like three, it's just hard to just put it all together and make it funny at the same time. There is some ways of making it funny, but it's basically it's too much effort for what little that you get out of Eve. Because I mean, if you think of it this way, Eve's like people who watch YouTube videos and are also Eve, also play Eve. It's not a lot. I would definitely say I'm on the highest or very high scale, like 10,000 subscribers, and you're an Eve primary content creator. I would say that's really successful. And there was a big gap there that I wanted to fill, and so I did. And that's how the Zico Guides were born. Because I was like, you know what? There's no funny Eve videos out there, and there's no ship guides. There is, but it's Citonia. But you know, you have to listen to him talk about 30 minutes into in-depth stats. Why isn't there like, you know, guides out there that are 5 minutes, easy to digest, and they give you 1-2 fits, and boom, there you go. And so that's how I came across it, really.
I mean, I get that point to an extent, but I, as an Eve player, love. My favorite is Cheshire. He really got me into interceptor play and transversal and all that good shit. And I like the in-depthness. I do like short videos as well, but sometimes I'm just in the mood to sit and soak in information. And I'll go onto a 45-minute lecture with 10 minutes of content and be ridiculously satisfied.
Sure. That's totally fine and all, but you gotta remember that, like, there is a lot of people who play Eve casually, right?
Yes.
And they want it. Are they going, like, seriously? It's a very casual player, you know, actually like plays Fortnite and, you know, all that kind of stuff. They'll go to Citonia's videos and watch a 21-minute video about kestrels and missile mechanics. Seriously? Probably not. No.
It's not for everybody, you know. That's why you have a forward button if you really need it. You know, the guys like me that enjoy that autistic, I spend 45 minutes learning numbers and doing everything on Python before I even undock. That's what I enjoy the most.
Sure.
And then you have the casuals who just go, fuck this, I want to skip through this and watch them fight.
Yeah, of course, and there's a gap for that, and Sonia and Cheshire filled that gap. There is many, you know, ways of getting content out there that are suitable for an audience, basically.
For our end, basically, I've always wanted to run a podcast because I've been doing student radio for a good few years now, and I have enjoyed doing that sort of thing. I was chatting to some other people, and they just said, "Dude, why don't you do a podcast? You really like Eve. You talk about it a lot to us, and you love doing radio stuff. Why not just do a podcast?" And at that point, I also joined Panic Attack, and the guys in it were, unlike any other community I've been in, everyone had a lot of interesting things to say, a lot of interesting opinions. So a few of us got together and basically ended up with myself, Sliv, and Eugene becoming a team of 3, just working on this because Sliv loves talking about stuff like that. Eugene is amazing at videos and also has loads of interesting things to talk about. But also, the big thing is, there aren't very many podcasts or content providers out there that really focus on low sec, because everyone's focusing on either Eve as a game, of like how you fly this, how you do that, you know, all those kinds of things, or they look at the big nullsec stuff, or they put videos of how elite they are at PvP, and it's all sort of everyone's seen that so many times, no one wants to see more of that. People want to see the players of Eve actually talking about the game they enjoy, the game they love, and the community they're a part of, and showing that they enjoy the game, and making it accessible for people who potentially are considering playing the game.
Yeah, that's definitely a whole, like, could be filled with content.
There is a group who just wants to hear about the shit and wants to hear how Eve's dying. Don't fool yourself.
But Eve is dying, and Losec is dead. Never forget that. Like, you guys do a lot of... We all do different content. I love FCing. I love mostly spending time in Pytha and strategizing. And then, even if I'm not FCing the fleet, I had a ridiculous amount of time with the FCs coordinating and planning what goes into it. And sometimes we'd spend 8 to 10 hours a day before a major fight. At least to us, it's not major in nullsec, but it's still a major fight for us. We'll spend 8-10 hours a day just strategizing what we're gonna do before we even undock, and that's where my enjoyment comes. Like, I love the strategy part.
For me, it's and it's been since the beginning. It's the community aspect of it. Just so many different kinds of people doing different things in the game. We hear a lot about the nullsec and wormholes, and to lowsec to an extent, but I think there is a lot of people out there that do consume this but don't actually actively participate in it. A lot of high seckers, I think. I think they're underrepresented, and as much as we like to poke fun at them, they are still part of the community.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of memes out there that says Eve is easier to listen to or easy to follow than it is to play. So, I mean, that's a lot of people's intake of Eve.
I mean, it's a sandbox at the end of the day. Like, I at one point would run small gangs all the time. I had like a 10-man corp I was running because my CEO went AFK for 2 years. And I decided I'm just going to keep this corp alive and see what we can do. And we would just run around, we'd join an alliance, and then I'd join Panic right after that. I would run with Spectre all the time, which, fantastic community. So there's a lot of... When it comes to this game, you get out of it what you put into it, I see. You don't get any real-life money, you don't get any real-life accolades, but you get a satisfaction that's different than what you can get in different things you could do in your life. So, like, the content creation on my end, I figure out I want to do this, and I just go and do it, and if it doesn't work, then I do something else. Like, there's always something to do. Like, I started Small Gang, and even before that, I was just an interceptor pilot. Did it for 6 years. Now I'm running strat ops and fucking strategically planning cap fleets and all that other stuff, and it's been a wild ride, and it's something I would definitely do again if I had to start over.
What I enjoy as my role in Panic Attack is basically all the video stuff, or HTML, or all different bits and bobs, GIFs and all that sort of stuff. So I do something very similar in my day-to-day job, but what this allows me to do is be properly creative, allow your imagination just to flow. And I think he's always been a kind of open to the craziness of the imagination, pushing the boundaries of what you can do in game, out of game.
Yeah, the content creation community allows the complete openness and supportiveness. If I want to find 6 guests to talk about something that I have no clue about, I can typically find interested Eve players who are willing to spend 2 hours to talk about the passionate part of their game, which I have no clue about. And that's great. It's nice that the community will support endeavors like ours, and they like to get their voices out there and heard by other people. So it's an interesting win-win for everyone.
I personally love how many different little tiny ecosystems there are in this game that have no idea about each other. Like, one of our podcasts, we had Hotline K162 and their problems with wormholes and nullsec and botting, and I had no clue. But I just sat there and listened, like, holy shit, another ecosystem I know nothing about. Like, it's crazy how many different little tiny pieces that are in this game.
Yeah, it's a big game.
Yeah.
It could be as big or as small as you want it to be.
Yeah,
like, for me, well, for me especially, there's like other gratifying things to it. I mean, I'm sure all of you know that, like my alliance, they're getting a lot of crap on Reddit right now and everything, and like to make stuff showing us standing our ground, saving timers, and winning fights. There's really not a lot of people doing that. And for me, I get a lot of personal gratification, like showing these guys who I fly with every day, talk to every day, to give them something to see. All right, this is what we're actually doing. This is who we are, not what those other cunts are talking about. So there's also that. If you're like a content creator for like a more niche audience like I am. So, I take that kind of seriously because, well, yeah, give them something to like rally around, when things are going tough,
I actually made a dunk meme about GOTG. Do you want to see? I'll link it
Oh
for you.
God. Oh, is it? Oh, it's on Reddit. It must be true.
It is true.
Oh,
But yeah,
God, that was
Meredith.
you.
Yes, it
Meredith,
was
I believe
me.
you were trying to fit something as well, weren't you?
That's hardly even a meme. Hang on, we've got. All right, hang on. I'll see if I can find one of our memes. And
Come
we
on,
are.
it's got
we're not-
464 upvotes. I'm classing that as a successful meme.
I can definitely agree with what you're saying, Yasarin, of the having something for people to rally behind is definitely a real good thing. It's like ours is we get into fights, we win some, we lose some, we have good times, we have hard times, but for anyone who knows the Alliance, when they see we're doing stuff like this and they see we're still talking about the game, we still enjoy it, that we're still playing it, that is more powerful than winning fights, just because it gets it out there that we are a community of players who really enjoy the game, are a good community to be a part of, and basically, we're human, and that's something which you don't really see in a lot of alliances. You just see a block of guys behind spaceships. You don't really see the people behind them, if that makes sense.
Then we have some really weird late night conversations.
Oh boy, yeah.
They're fantastic.
Hashtag thedruda.com.
Hashtag Big Ron.
Lowbrow propaganda.
I love our propaganda.
High,
It's so much
highbrow
fun.
propaganda.
Very highbrow.
Yeah, I love propaganda. It's always good.
But sort of, I mean, like comparing us to Meredith and you guys, we're really new. Like we've been around for 5-6 months maybe, and I think I've got 90 subscribers, so I've still got a long way to go. But it's still I love creating content. The guys on it love creating content as well. So that's, I think, probably the biggest reason to do it. If you enjoy doing it, you do it.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to be motivated by your own goals, because if you set your goals based on numbers or subscribes or achievements, it's just going to be a slippery slope that you're just going to try to keep reaching for the next level. And if you have any backwards progress, like you lose some people, you don't get any many guests, you don't get as much growth in a week as you'd hoped, you could really get down on yourself about that stuff. And really, you should be having fun, right? You're playing a game to have fun, you're recording a podcast to have fun, and that's what it should be about. So
Yeah, absolutely. Like, people ask me, "Oh, how much you making off of this? You've got so much stuff out there." And I'm like, "What?" I mean, all right, for the articles I get a little bit of ISK, but it doesn't justify the effort that goes into them. It's the sort of thing you do, because you enjoy it and you want other people to enjoy it. And if some people enjoy my content, well, then that's great, But it's yeah. To think of doing it for profit, you're absolutely right. You could drive yourself crazy, because that's really not what it should be about.
And this is Eve as well, so you're not gonna get what you want realistically if you're going for Eve derived content.
Yeah. But it's really interesting hearing like everyone's different takes on it, because everyone here is from very different backgrounds, and they all do different things. Like everyone produces different kinds of content, and it's very interesting hearing the differences and similarities and the struggles that everyone kind of has when making this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, reload. Yeah. See, I just do a better meme.
If you're the ECM bitch of the fleet, then fit as many different types of E-war as possible. You cannot predict the future, and must be prepared for it.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned before about some of the other types of content that come out, like the really creative stuff, like Clear Skies.
Ah, yes, Clear Skies. I forgot about that.
Anybody else seen Clear Skies?
I think
Yeah.
everyone. I think it's a tradition for any player to watch the entire series of that.
I've watched every single RNK video, and every now and again, like I'll get bored in the middle of the night. I'm just gonna go watch RNK. Pulse Tower is one of the best.
I remember setting up for the third installment of Clear Skies, and then it hit, and the only way you couldn't watch it on YouTube or anything, you had to download it through BitTorrent, and it took forever. And I watched it on a school night at about 3 o'clock in the morning with my mates. It was awesome.
I remember I was getting really excited for it, and I was talking to them saying, "Oh my god, Clear Skies is coming out!" And they're just like, "What are you talking about, you crazy, crazy person? What's Clear Skies?" And just nobody I knew played Eve, so no one understood why it was a big deal. And they're just like, "Oh, cool, someone's using the Source engine to make a film. So what?" And I'm like, "Dude, this is a huge deal for us. Don't take this from me."
I was gonna say, is there any machinima that's out other than Clear Skies that's as good as content as on Eve? I can't think of any.
I mean, there's small stuff that is very well done, but there's nothing that is almost a feature-length movie that has that much care put into it. Because let's be honest, Clear Skies has a huge production value. Like, they did a really good job with it.
They have voice actors, animators, like that's some big shit.
Volunteers in ships.
Yeah.
Zendany puts his voice to the Chronicles of Eve Online, and he's done some multi-voice actor parts. If you want to check out any of the Chronicles, it's another interesting content creator.
Can I get Captain Rourke on the podcast? That's what I'm wondering. Can I do this?
The crew from the Discourse got a lot of coverage from CCP this year, from all their Drifter-inspired lore videos.
Yeah, they're pretty crazy about their lore.
Or Razorin, who does screenshots and edited screenshot art for the game.
Yeah,
Razorin's stuff is amazing. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we feature his art on pretty much most of our articles on Eve News. Like he's a favorite of the editors. Razorian is. Yeah. I think he had one screenshot. It's like a Tempest made of like 1,000 other screenshots, and when it comes to graphic design, I'm like, wow, magic. I cannot even imagine what it took for him to do that.
Yeah, that's a piece of art at the CCP headquarters. I think they made it into a big art piece.
Yeah.
So looking back and ahead, obviously this is the 15th anniversary of Eve. I think it's fair to now. Has anyone else got the Eve into the Second Decade Collector's Edition, or am I the only person?
I have it.
I don't.
Aha, okay, so if you guys have read it, you'll be familiar with the predictions section that they have in the front and the back of it.
Oh, I could get mine out, but no, I can't remember.
Okay, I think it's a good idea for me to pick out a few choice predictions and basically people to just reflect on them and just sort of call them out as being right, wrong, or what? So I'll start with an easy one. Why can't we attack planets? This is 23 centuries into the future. We have plutonium, uranium, and heck, we even have antimatter. I want to nuke something, said by Nostradamus.
I mean, you could do it in Death 514, but not anymore. So, half correct.
Press F to pay respect.
Yeah, so, I mean, okay, so basically the prediction was correct, but then it went wrong again.
It was momentarily right until it was not right.
Yep.
Why can't we shoot at planets? Because it requires a PlayStation 3 exclusive game.
yeah, that's a good way of putting
it requires servers that they maintain.
I mean, we could take a high-powered laser and blast it into a side of a moon and rip out a chunk of it.
We could use the new ships to do it.
Okay, let's have another one. I think if
bomb
the Eve...
PI. Sorry.
It's alright. I think if the Eve devs put their heads together, a variant of the gladiatorial concept could be conducted, and that might be interesting to watch and participate in. Said by Winterblink.
Or like a PvP arena?
Summer Blink?
No, not Summer Blink.
I got the reference.
I think that has come true in terms of we've now got dueling, so I guess that's as close to we're going to get as gladiatorial combat.
Yeah, I suppose, and I don't know if you knew about the Alliance tournament, you could also think of that, but I think more gladiatorial combat's like 1v1, so...
I think there are 3 different gladiatorial arenas in the game. You've got the Alliance tournament, which is obviously the one everyone knows. You've got your one-on-one dueling, and then you have LoSec. LoSec is just a big Mad Max style arena.
Right. Isn't there also the for the Amar when they elect a new emperor?
Oh, the Amar Championships.
That's another one.
Oh, the Succession Wars and stuff.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also Eve NT as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
They produce tournaments, yeah.
So let's have a look at another
They
quote.
are sole proprietor host for AT whatever it's at now.
Ah.
Don't they also do that last man standing tournament? I can't remember what it's called.
Eve Theomaki.
That
yeah.
I participated in one. It was so much fun.
Okay.
Basically, it's EVE Online Battlegrounds.
Don't trigger me. So the next quote we've got is, only one thing needed to make this a perfect game. A search function for the forums, said by Ravendell.
Well, it's there.
Yep.
Another beautiful one. The game will be dead in 6 months. Mark my words, said by Ellen Dutchin.
Yep,
Wrong.
Eve's dead. Keep going.
Wrong.
Proof that people will keep saying Eve is dead, even when Eve has just come out.
RIP Eve 2004.
So let's have a look. So those are the 2003 predictions. Let's fast forward 10 years to the 2013 predictions. Here we go. Today, Dust 514 players fight sandbox battles. I think you can see where this is going. Tomorrow, Dust 514 players will storm planets and stations. First nullsec, then lowsec, and then Jita will fall. Even Concord won't be able to stop the onslaught of immortal soldiers as we march across the universe. Said by Ancient Joseph.
RIP Ancient Joseph.
That's a little bit wrong now.
I mean, Concord is CCP, and CCP shut down Dust.
Let's see. This one is. I think a few people will understand the hilarity of it. Eve will become a pay-to-win game purely through its own evolution, as the elite few hold all in-game resources, and the only token that could be of any value to them is Plex, which is the one thing they cannot acquire through in-game means. Oh boy.
That's half accurate, maybe.
It's definitely a weird one. In the game isn't pay to win, but having lots of money you can put into the game definitely helps. And especially with the advent.
I think injectors sort of pushed us over the cusp on that, yeah?
Yeah. Skill injectors and being able to afford the shiny things definitely puts it in if you've got loads of money to spend on the game, you're gonna have a good time. Let's see, what else we got? Honestly, this idea of building gates to new systems has me wanting to build a time machine to get there faster. Said by Khan Farashatok.
Something stain guy?
something 5 years later, still waiting for player-built Stargates.
Still no gate to stain?
Here we go. A decade from now, we will not be playing EVE Online. We will not be playing Dust 514, but we will be playing New Eden Online. Said by Iron Wolf Saber.
I mean, we don't even play EVE Online, we play spreadsheets online.
One of these things is not like the others.
I hate the fact that, like, in school, I'm never gonna need to know how to type, I don't need to know how to do spreadsheets, fuck this. This girl's boobs are awesome, so why do I even need to go to typing class? This is so stupid. Hey, now I have Eve players teaching me how to spreadsheet because I never did the fucking class at school. I still don't know how to spreadsheet well.
Let's see what else we got. I am looking forward to destroying a Titan after we board it, just to watch an Eve player cry, said by Titanic Zangor.
I think he was a Dust 514 player.
I think he might be, yeah. Something gives me the impression that he's a bit of a Dust 514.
I mean, he referenced boarding, so that could make it.
This one seems to be quite accurate in a weird sort of way. The greatest fear I have is that CCP will worry too much about upsetting either game to the point where they don't make any bold moves at completely connecting them. Said by Burseg Sardakar. Ah, God, that name's horrible.
This is the next expansion's a pretty bold move, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, whoever's been coming up with the ideas at CCP for the last few expansions, updates, and releases, they've definitely been doing a good job.
I can't wait for this next patch. It's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be really good. The Butcher Pete said, "In the future, I will have a top hat to go with this classy monocle."
You do have hats.
We do have hats now.
Because we all know purchasable hats make a game instantly better. Ask Valve.
Rip TF2.
And I guess the final quote to end on, which is actually a very sort of relevant one. I picture myself reading this book 10 years from now thinking, I'm still here, said by the one and only Cribber.
Working on it.
Respect to Cribber.
Fleet fights don't need logistics, they slow everybody down and lag the game out. More DPS is what you need, do not bring reps.
So hearing those quotes, I think a fun thing is if we have any interesting quotes we can do as our 2018 predictions for hilarity's sake. Can we think of anything?
Osek is dead.
Project Nova by 2100.
Make Losec great again.
Make Faction Warfare great again.
Eve, or star systems named after Eve, or planets named after Eve. Planets.
Yeah. That's gonna happen.
Planet
Can't wait
Minotaur.
for Mar or Minotaur or
Mar
Heck or...
Prime.
Which planet are you currently orbiting? Caldari. No. Not who owns it. What planet? Caldari.
Oh, if there was a real life Jedi, though.
Nobody would go to it because they get scammed.
What planet are you heading towards? Mordu's.
Well, for Kale, who isn't here anymore, Alpha Supers.
Oh boy.
Oh, triggered. Oh, it hurts. It hurts to even think about.
I think I can put one out there
Not
for...
a mega usable supers. Like,
I think I can put one out for Pred, because I know what he would say, and that is hashtag where are my shield slaves.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got one.
Oh, okay.
Instance PvP by next year. I mean, we were kind of already having some PvP by because of novice plexes.
I thought you meant critted wormholes.
That too.
Wormhole stabilizers. Keep that wormhole open.
by the way.
World War B2?
I would like polarized doomsday weapons.
Oof.
Polarized fighters, polarized bombers, in fact, polarize everything.
I would love polarized smart bombs for my Proteus.
Oh no!
I think polarized fighters would defeat the purpose of like super.
We have them. They're called shadows.
Polarized citadel weapons.
How about one polarized smart bomb? But the thing is, the smart bomb damage also happens to you as well.
Oh no!
Yes.
Oh, that's rude, but I like it.
That would be a great change.
People would go through them quite quickly. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
The first Palatine Super Keepstar is deployed.
When? Oh, yeah. When do we think that's going to get finally built?
Oh, it's already built. It's in a C6 somewhere.
Is it?
I don't know.
No, it's not.
Can you even drop keep stars and wormholes?
You can.
Yes.
Can you?
You can drop a keep star and a C1 if you want to.
Hard Knocks.
Yeah, but
got,
why
in fact,
would you want to?
For the
because no one can
memes.
ever evict you.
Ah,
It's pretty impossible.
Because I know Hard Knocks built the first one in Wormhole Space, and they also destroyed the first one in Wormhole Space.
And they have 2 in their home system of Rage.
Because reasons.
They're set up across from each other, so you could play a football match in between the 2 uprights.
Oh, yeah, boy! I think that is all the topics we need to cover. Is there anything else I want to add before we do the shout-outs and all that lovely stuff?
Guess not.
I will take that as a no. So this is shout-out time. So, Mary and Yos, you guys want to do shout-outs for your stuff?
Yeah, sure.
For our own stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, yeah, so please subscribe to Yazarian's Guide to Life in Nullsec. Yeah, battles and the occasional narrated meme. And watch out for my articles on Eve News 24. And happy birthday, Ramilza.
Check out the Mind Clash podcast. We record on Monday nights Pacific at 7 p.m. Eastern at 10. 0200 Tuesday for Eve time on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MindClashLive. And you can watch us there. You can contribute. You can join us on a live stream. And we'll talk with you or whoever you want to bring on and about your topics, the Eve news of the day, and whatever zesty memes Aurilla comes up with.
Upvote me on Reddit, they're my food.
You'll get my upvote when you release more content.
It's coming, don't worry.
Gotta work for those upvotes.
Yep.
Alright then, let's see what we have in the inbox today. Oh boy, local has been exciting lately. So much salt, so much love. Without further delay, let's get this rusty truck of weaponized autism on the road. So revenge for our Pocus. 6 citus into Mahi and that will you lose. Better call Siege Green. I just wanted to move my Hurricane in peace to the wormhole. Instead you wanted to trade an Arazu for a Hurricane fleet issue. 123 go blow up a shuttle and lose a Panther. A kill's a kill. Hashtag worth it. No, I need their organs for my business. Fucking dunked. Should come join a PvP corp bro. Stop that carabering stuff. 123. Come to our house whenever you want. We have cookies. Good food. Daddy Maximum Musterman Synodi AWG push the baby out. Hi there. Did any of you lose at least a drone from that suicide run? Fuck yo Batphones. Hashtag Citadel Lives Matter. If I lose this Orthrus, I'm off to Osman for a month to do level 4. Stop shooting my Athena PLS. Drop fat titans. Silly Englishman, quit your job, play Eve. 123. Are you the other bank man here to vulture on my 0.5 ISK? XFX cookie, I'm not being from the Englands, madam. Trump #1 Trump #1 Trump #1 Trump #1 please. May I purchase a hazelnut frappe with soy milk please? Gluten free. What is optimal, but just a word. This is WH roller I got so far. 123 come vist sometime. That's all for now folks. Tune in next time for more salt and pepper from the world of low-sec. Oh, and before I forget, Panic is recruiting, like Dreaded, except we aren't massive sellouts.
Faxes are completely balanced.
Oh, that hurt really bad.
Scout carriers for the win.
Got Raya, best Raya.
Can't confirm.
My CEO sold the Knicks for 1 mil. AMA.
Really? He did?
I love you, Nico, but you're dumb.